Hey everyone, Merchant Ricky back, and today we're talking about a different anime entirely, Jujutsu Kaisen. And we're gonna dive into the impact a character had on everyday anime fans' lives, the culture surrounding him, and the overall magnitude that a simple character design had on tons of people worldwide. It is none other than Kento Nanami, or Nanami Kento to American viewers. Recently, if you're not caught up in Jujutsu Kaisen, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, Nanami has passed away at the hands of Mahito. And this was a brutal death, and accentuated by the fact that Yuji was just really getting to know the guy and really enjoy his tutelage, and to have that ripped away from him after the shock of what he did in the Shibuya arc already due to Sukuna, and then, moments later, someone else was taken from him too. Here to focus on Nanami. Now, Nanami's character design is what I want to get into first because it's so simple and so weirdly relatable. First, I want to say he reminds me of Sir Night-Eye from My Hero Academia, but not entirely. Just, the kind of eye-based power and the very serious attitude and obviously dressed to impress nature that they both share. However, Nanami differs a little bit. He may be serious, but he ultimately left his profession altogether, which is where him and Sir Night-Eye differ entirely. But that's really not the point. Nanami left the Jujutsu sorcery to become a salaryman, and because of that, he realized that working as a salaryman is just terrible, and this is something I feel immediately a lot of people related to. Whether they are salarymen or the average Joe or Jane, toiling away in the daily grind. This is something that everyone has to do. It's very unavoidable unless you are blessed to be a very successful YouTuber, and even then, YouTubing is not easy work. I work in a department store, for example, a hardware department store. I get up at 3 a.m. to get to work by 5 a.m. I leave typically around 10 a.m. or 1:30 p.m. and when I go full-time finally, it'll be 1:30 p.m. every day of the week, minus Saturday and Sunday. Something about an anime character, a fictional man, talking about how hard it is to have spare time and to not want to do the daily routine, to toil away for the man. It just feels good. Immediately makes him relatable. A lot of kids watch anime, obviously, but so do the adults who grew up with it. And the adults who grew up with it, I promise you, the minute Nanami said that he hated working, they all related to Nanami. And what makes him so cool in his simplistic design, just a blue shirt, tan jacket, tan pants, cheetah print tie, mine's a tank top, and those iconic glasses without the parts that go across your ear. I don't know what to call those, but his glasses are amazing. They're like goggles almost. But his cool nature and his abilities in general, and then of course his really cool looking knife that's just wrapped up in cloth, and he's typically hitting people with the back of it anyways. His 7-3 technique, which kind of also alludes to being a salaryman, because Mahito calls him the 7-3 sorcerer, right? But where I live, and a lot across the United States, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. is actually one of the hardest jobs schedule, which would be construction work, because I used to do that for an electrician company. And yeah, they get up a little bit after I do for work, and where I work, I see most of them on their way to work. And when I get off work, I know that they'll be getting off soon too. And if you know anyone that's ever done construction, you know what they look like when they get out of work. And this is kind of where I'm leading into how Nanami left the salaryman lifestyle to come back to be a Jujutsu sorcerer, right? And does that job look very easy? The first time we meet him, standing outside of the movie theater with Yuji, and he goes in and lets Yuji know, looking at these bodies ain't gonna be pretty, so you ready? And, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't want a copyright strike, but the way that Nanami carried himself throughout that whole first scenes with him and all that is just so relatable. Just trying to understand how to act around a kid while maintaining your serious attitude, a certain level of respect. It was very funny when he was like, I don't respect Gojo. That was amazing. Like, absolutely, go ahead. You do you, Nanami. Like, that's freaking hilarious. And his very interesting fighting style, his very relatable character, I feel like are two of the major things that skyrocketed him into fame in our anime community. The last con I went to with my family, by the way, my wife and my 3 kids, I counted no less than 15 Nanamis. A couple Sukunas, a lot of Dekus, a lot of Luffys, but 15 Nanamis. That's a crazy amount. And it's such a simple design. You can go to a men's warehouse, a woman's department store, JCPenney, Kohl's, Marshall's, whatever you want to call it, wherever your area calls it. Any clothing store that sells suits, you could probably pick up Nanami's outfit. And that's like reason one why he's so relatable and so iconic already. You know, his debut chapter was in 2018. I think chapter 18, I could be wrong. I think it's chapter 18 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and like roughly episode 20 or something like that. Details are a little bit hazy for me. I actually just woke up from a nap after my job. So that's also, again, why I'm making this video, because I felt after catching up to Jujutsu Kaisen in both the anime and manga, the way the anime handled his death scene was fantastic. I've never seen something so beautiful. I am a little bit past that in the manga, because I'm reading the manga after having caught up to the anime, but now I'm actually just going back and really appreciating the whole story of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I just want to talk about now his death, right? Because first, he fought Dagon before that, right? And that was a crazy-ass fight. But even before that, when he first fought Mahito, what did he do towards the end of the fight?
It's 5:30 now, and I began my day at 10 this morning. So I'm quitting at 6, regardless of what that requires.
It's 5:30. Started my day at 10. And I'm clocking out by 6. And what did he do? Roughly around 6 o'clock, he used this technique for the first time in front of us, I believe. Hit the wall with, what was it called? Something resonance. Like ratio resonance or something like that. He hit the wall. He had like the pieces of rubble floating in the air. He then used his 7-3 technique and cut Mahito's leg off. Mahito was so taken aback. That's when Nanami says, you know, hey, if we're still alive later, let's meet up again. And then crushes him with the rubble and clocks out for work. And again, I feel like that is just such a relatable thing. And I feel like all the older anime fans are over here like, I would also like to clock out of work after cutting off someone's leg. Whether or not it's a rude customer, your boss was in your face, you have an annoying coworker, us normies can't really just lop someone's leg off and call it a day afterwards. And again, that just goes back to the sheer relatability. I've brought up his character design, I've brought up his relatability, but his fights, his fighting style, the way he carries himself towards Yuji and Gojo, other characters, the way he cared for Maki in the fight with Dagon, which is a whole thing in and of itself. I just really want to quickly highlight that fight took place on a beach. And afterwards, he got burned by Jogo, right? And then what happens? He walks down the subway steps, finds a room full of transfigured humans from Mahito. He even walks by Mahito. He takes a big, deep breath, because he knows it's probably some of his last breaths. And what does he do? He starts dreaming of a vacation, to buy a little home, actually, in Kuantan in Malaysia. Kuantan would be nice. And then he talks about how he would finally read all the books he bought but never had time to read, something that a lot of us do, us workers, right? Family men, family women, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, anyone that has a job that doesn't have their own time for 8 hours a day, or however many hours you work, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes not being even paid that much. Wouldn't it be nice to just sit back and read a book to enjoy your favorite video game, responsibilities free, to not feel like you are giving your time the hours wasted. You know? That hit me hard because there are so many moments I missed out on my son's baby years because I was at work. I didn't get to see him walk for the first time. I didn't get to see him really be awake for the very first time after being born, you know? With my daughter, my first daughter, I have 2 daughters. With my first daughter, I got to spend a lot more time with her, and that's when I realized just how much I missed out on my son. And I had felt back then like Nanami was feeling when he was fighting all those monsters in the subway. Just slashing, going from slash to Malaysian paradise, slash Malaysian paradise. The duality of that scene is something majestic. The beautiful music playing, the fact that he himself is split in half down the middle with a burned side and a refreshed looking side, right? His regular skin and his burned body, like kind of indicating what it's like to be a regular worker. You are burned out, but you have to have that face of everything's okay, right? And slash after slash, Malaysian paradise after Malaysian paradise, just him kind of flowing his arms in the wind, not a care in the world is what he wishes for. It's just it's so crazy. And I know that deep down, a lot of us, again, we resonate with that because we work 8 hours a day, 16 hours a day like my coworker. Shout out to you, buddy. When you have no time of your own and you're about to give it all up like Nanami, he gave everything away. When that last scene, when he struck down the last transfigured human and he goes, "You're here too," and Mahito's hand touched his back, I was so blown because I actually remained unspoiled up until 2 days ago when I saw that episode for the very first time. I was not happy. I was not pleased, and I knew it the minute. I had a feeling he might just turn into a transfigured human, but the minute that they showed it from Yuji's perspective running down the steps and all that, that's when I was like, no. And sure enough, blown away, literally, huh? I saw a video from a YouTuber. I don't remember the name, so I apologize. I might link it in the description below, but it definitely doesn't need my help. Called How to Build a Bastard, and it's about Mahito. And I have not caught up fully to the manga yet, so I have not decided to read it yet. And I just the thumbnail and title, I agree. The author of Jujutsu Kaisen created a villain better than the main villain, because Mahito is a real son of a bitch on some Joker from Gotham City levels, right? Just a total unhinged weirdo lunatic that is very unstoppable almost. And I hate that some of his moves are kind of like Luffy's. It scares me. I kind of want to do a Mahito versus series just to see how crazy his broken abilities can extend to different power levels and stuff like that in different characters of different animes. If you're interested in that, leave that down below in the comments. But back to Nanami. See, his death is what really exploded his fandom, right? Because everyone is over here like, oh, this guy's awesome. Like when he whooped the ass of that blonde-haired weirdo, I don't even remember that character's name because they're so forgettable, but, you know, name and locations, how many of your allies are there, and then just, you know, decks that motherfucker across the room and then just continues to lay into him. That's when we saw the real Nanami, because although he said he doesn't necessarily lose his cool in combat, I would lose my cool too if you're killing my comrades, right? And I had to get rid of the cheetah print thing. My hand was sweating. But the type of impact that he's had, I don't even think that, like, my hero spoilers, 3, 2, 1, when Bakugo's pseudo-death happened, I didn't see people losing it over Bakugo, right? The numerous deaths in Dragon Ball Z, people just take them as a joke. In One Piece, you'll find, I would say, more of the fandom latching on to people when they die, and they really do die. But I haven't seen anyone erect a memorial for them. But over in Malaysia, so if you Google Kento Nanami Memorial, there is literally one in Kuantan that a fan just posted. I'm sure people are actually going to that beach to put Kento Nanami stuff there. And I did see like a rumor post. I personally don't feel like linking it because it's from an uncredible website, and I really feel like they just took the governor of Malaysia's face and put it on an article that said I would like to contact Mappa Studios and Crunchyroll, and I forget the author of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'll put it down below in the edits, but they said that they want to erect a statue for Nanami, and if that's true, awesome. That just goes to prove my point that a salaryman turned Jujutsu sorcerer ended up being the most relatable character. Going to work in work clothes and using a rather unique fighting style, just two simple designs, not even anything fancy, like a polka dot Dalmatian polka dot knife and goggles and 7/3 cut. There's nothing fancy there. There is just straight up rules and regulations all over that. And it's very indicative of who he was, what he lived as, what he wanted to do, and what he wanted to achieve. Just all in that 7/3. Like I said, 7 to 3 is a very popular work schedule for one of the hardest jobs in the United States. Construction, electrician, all that stuff. Working with your hands. Nanami definitely worked with his hands, you know what I mean? And like I said, this is just the ramblings of a 31-year-old dad relating to an anime character because he talked about working and being a salaryman. And I attempted to be a salaryman, and I did it for 3 years, and I got let go. And now I work back at the hardware store that I really started my first career at, and I wish I never gave that government place a chance because they derailed 3 years of what could have been a very good career. I'm now starting over at square one. So I too would like to get a small house in Malaysia and just have time to thumb through all of my manga and read the pages and make up for the time that I've lost. And that's been the video. My name's Merch Hunter Ricky. I really thank you for watching this video in particular. The impact of Kento Nanami shall not be forgotten, and I feel like he's just going to explode in popularity as the years go by. Anyways, have a great night, everyone.